And today's special guest is none other than Thom Filicia from the Emmy Award-winning show Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Okay, Thom, our first question is always,
yes,
you could be doing anything you want to do.
Yeah.
You could be selling the seven seas. You could be
Yep.
You could be a farmer in a foreign land. Okay, you could be rock climbing. You could be building schools. You might be doing that somewhere, but you could be doing anything you want to do. Why did you become an interior designer?
That is hilarious because I would be terrified if I were sailing the seven seas. However, I will tell you, so the reason I'm an interior designer, and people always say, like, how did you find your, sort of career in interior design? And honestly, I feel like so many of the things in our lives, whether it's a significant other, our careers, just like so many of the things that happen to us that are important in our lives, homes very often. But a lot of times I feel like these things find us. Rescue pets, they kind of find us. And I think that interior design really found me. Like when I was young, I was really, really interested in architecture and in design, specifically houses. When I was in like 4th and 5th grade and 6th grade, I was like designing houses, putting them on the bulletin board of the principal's office. I was getting in trouble for drawing houses on my desk. And then they would take pictures of me with the principal. So I knew I was up to something good, even though I was in trouble and had to write, I will not draw my desk a million times on a blackboard. But the thing is that it really kind of found me. And interestingly, at that age, I was, I thought I wanted to be an architect. And that was sort of my journey. And like you asked me in 5th grade or 6th grade what I was going to do, I was like, I'm going to be an architect. And I was designing houses. And as I was progressing in like middle school and high school, I was in like advanced art classes and stuff like that. And I knew I wanted to go to design school. But when I got to sort of like university level, I started looking at schools. I looked at industrial design, I looked at interior design, and I looked at architecture. And prior to that, when I was in high school, my mom had me get my real estate license because she thought I may want to be a developer, because she thought, like that was kind of like what somebody who's really interested in homes would do, like build.
Yeah, because you've been
right?
drawing home and buildings on the deck. So evidently, right? I love this story. I love this story because we're looking at children trying to figure out what they want to do, right?
Right.
And so at face value, what you were doing does speak to, maybe you should be an architect because he likes drawing. Maybe he'll like drawing.
And the thing is I think when you're in 3rd grade or 4th grade or 5th grade and you're doing something that you love to do. Like I was drawing cars and boats and houses and all this stuff. That's like literally what I was doing when I should have been studying, to be honest with you. But I was not the sharpest tool in the shed. But the thing is that I was doing all of those things. And I think my mom was the kind of person, she just said like, if whatever you like to do, if you like to dance, if you like to play football, if you like cooking, whatever it is you like, sort of focus on that and kind of figure out what you can do with it. You'll learn more about that space and you'll learn about all of the things that it has to offer. As you get older, as you get a little bit more sort of exposed and you can understand the depth. I mean, you can't really tell a little kid that likes to cut hair is interested in cutting hair about sort of developing, skincare products. But that's an obvious sort of thing that can happen as you get older. So I think my parents just were like, this is your space and play in that space as much as you can so that you develop it and sort of see where it takes you. I think a lot of it is us trying to sort of predict the future and we're looking outward. We're looking at like, this person has a beautiful house. What do they do for a living? Or this person does this, or this person does that. Or they're looking to be maybe famous or something. So they just want to do like, I want to be a singer, even though I can't sing. And, so it's like, you really have to look at yourself and say, who am I? What do I do? What do you like to do? And then figure out how to monetize it.
So was acting a part of that, and was being famous a part of that?
No, not at all. I mean, I was, was acting. I mean, like, I was in a school play. I was, I did stuff like that. I was very gregarious as a kid. I was not a singer. I don't know if you can hear my voice, but this is not a voice that translates into beautiful. So, so you know what I mean? It's like, singing and dancing were like I wasn't super interested in it. Like, I loved it as a thing. I loved to watch it. I loved to be a part of it, but it just wasn't where, when I walk into somebody's house, it's like, I can remember every detail of it. It's like, it just, that is where my heart was. That's literally intuitively where I landed. And I always say that interior design kind of found me. And I was lucky that my mom and my dad were just like, I didn't have to be a doctor or a lawyer or a accountant, or they just said, figure out what you want to do and do it. Like, just what do you love? And it's interesting because I think my brothers are both doing what they're excited about. My nieces and nephews are doing the same. So I just think that sort of philosophy that my parents kind of gave us was pretty intuitive and very, it was super helpful, because I definitely landed where I wanted to land, and where I think I should have landed, which is really great. And so then I studied, I built a portfolio, and then I applied to art schools, and that's how I ended up getting into. And when I went to the design schools, oh my God, that's hilarious. I went in and there were like all these architects, and I was like, oh my God, do you guys, what's your weekend like? What do you guys do? Well, we can't do anything because we're always in the studio. It's like, what? And then I went to the interior designers, and they were all coming back from parties. And I was like, this is where I want to be.
So how did you? Okay, so listen, Tom, you didn't drew up on all of the desks. Yeah. Okay, yeah. The principal done got you.
Yeah.
You done went to school. Okay, yeah. and so you're here. Like I did it. So it's a lot of people out there that want to get in this field, and like they do all of those things, right. But walking into your first home is something different. Walking into actually doing what you're prepared to do. Can you talk about that? Like, how did you know? Like, okay, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna do this.
Well, when I was young, my mom was a real estate agent, and I would literally go with her, and I would be like, okay, this house, if they knock this wall down and open this up and do this and do that. And so I literally just like was kind of, that's where my head was at a young age. Then I went to college, and I was learning about design in such a different way that, it's not a practical, it's very theoretical. It's like super abstract. You know what I mean? It's like, and it was really great and exciting. And then as you get into like your junior and senior year, you start really designing like offices and homes and things like that. But it wasn't really until I started doing internships. So my first internship, I called Albert Hadley of Parish Hadley. It was a cold call. I called him and I said, hi, this is Thom Filicia from Syracuse University. End of sentence. And the reason I ended it there was that I wanted whoever was answering the phone to think that I was somebody with the university and not just some scrappy kid looking for an internship.
Hey, but wait, stop right there. That's a tactic. Okay, I want the audience to hear that, right? So now they're like, oh, okay, Thom Filicia. Okay, hold on, right? So now that thinking,
right. They're like, oh, there's a Mr. Filicia from Syracuse University on the phone, and then they pick it up, and I'm like, I'm like at a payphone in my fraternity house, and I'm like, I mean, talk about a loser. So I'm standing there and I'm like, hi, Mr. Hadley, it's Thom Filicia. I'm a student at Syracuse University. I will be going to my junior year. I will be in New York City in 2 weeks. I'm a huge fan of your work. I love what you do. I love the balance between traditional and modern, and how you sort of balance that. And it would really mean the world to me if I could come in and show you my portfolio. And if there is an internship, I would love to be considered for it. And that's literally, he was like, sounds great. When are you going to be here? And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, so I 2 weeks later, I went down and I met with him, and I slept on my brother's sofa, and I went down in New York, and I literally went in, met with him, came home, and it was amazing meeting. I knew everything about him. I knew everything about his company. I knew everything about his work. And I went in, and then he gave me a tour of all of the conference rooms with all of the drawings on the walls. And we talked about all the different projects. And I explained to him that I was able to draft, and I was able to do this, and I could, be helpful, and I could do anything that they needed. I would be happy to do literally anything. I mean, I was like, I will learn how to make coffee. I'll iron. I don't know how to do it, but I'll figure it out. I was just like, whatever you need, you know what I mean? I will make fabric. I'll burn fabric. I will shop for whatever you need. I can drive a car. I could probably fix a car if I needed to do. So whatever. I just said, I'll do anything. And so the next day they called me and said I got the internship, and I was so excited. And that's really where you take your theory that you learn in school, and you are boots on the ground. And I think for anybody interested in what they want to do, whether you want to be an accountant, if you want to work as a coach, if you want to work as a school teacher, if you want to work as work at a hair salon, you want to work in theater, you got to just go when you're starting out, offer your services and literally give them away. Don't ever give them away for free, but give them away. And because people, even if they pay you a very little bit of minimum wage, they will still take advantage of you being there and give you stuff to do because they're paying you. If they're not paying you, they don't really care it's like you're there, you're not there, they don't know. But if they're paying you, they're thoughtful about, well, if we're going to pay this person, let's give them some serious things to do, and let's get some stuff done around here. So they'll utilize you, and you should always value yourself in what you're doing, at least at minimum wage. And I mean, that's the bare minimum. And I just think that, that's something that all interns should be paid, I believe, even if they're getting school credit.
Getting into Queer Eye. When Queer Eye first debuted, the concept of making over a straight man was very new to the mainstream audience.
Yes.
How did you get into being on Queer Eye? Because you were already on HGTV. These other shows.
No, I wasn't already.
Oh, it was your first show?
So I was living in New York City. I'd worked for Parrish Hadley. They hired me out of school. I worked for them for an internship. Then they hired me out of school. I worked there for about a year. Then Robert Metzger hired me for about 3 years to work with him because Parrish Hadley was downsizing because Mrs. Parrish had passed away. And then I worked for Robert Metzger for 3 years. And then he passed away. And then I worked for Jeffrey Bill Huber for almost 4 years. And then I opened my own company. And about this, maybe the third year of owning my company, we were publishing. I had my offices in Soho. I mean, I literally and when I had my office in Soho, it sounds very glamorous. I think I lived in my office for 2 months because I couldn't afford the office and an apartment for 2 months. So I just lived in my office.
That's about right.
Nobody knew. Right. I would wake up in the morning, go to the gym and shower there, go to my office, get dressed. I had a wardrobe in my office. And I did that for 2 months until I could get I could get an apartment, and it was kind of crazy. So, I mean, you do things that you have to do, and it's it was an office in Soho in New York City. I was like, whatever, it's not the worst thing in the world. I adopted a dog in the Hamptons, and this is why you always, when you give out, things come back to you. So I saw a dog that needed a home. I almost ran him over in the winter, coming back from the Hamptons into the city for work. And I ended up adopting this dog. So this dog is now in my office. It's a year or two later, I have the dog, and he literally has got his back legs in a knot. He has to go to the bathroom so bad. And so I'm it's Friday, everyone's leaving. So I'm finishing up some work. I get in the elevator. There's a bunch of women coming from one office, like on the 10th, 12th floor or something. And they're coming, and I get in the elevator, and they're like, everyone's like jazzed up. It's Friday, and it's like, yay. And the elevator gets stuck in between like 2 floors as we're going down. We are now stuck in the elevator for like an hour, and we can't get out. And they're sending the fire department, all this stuff. There's a woman having a panic attack. She's like, oh my God, I have such bad news. She's like, I'm completely claustrophobic. And I was like, well, I've got really, really bad news. My dog's about to take a dump on me, because I got her on the floor. And so I started having her play with my dog, and they were having like this great little sort of, moment. And he was helping her calm down. And I was saying to her, I was like, well, look, are you single? And she was like, yeah. I'm like, well, have you ever seen the calendar of the firemen? I mean, those guys are hot AF. And they're coming to save us. So like, I said, everybody,
I love that.
I'm like, you might want to put a little lipstick on and get ready, because I don't know when that hatch opens. Well, the hatch opened, and I was like, I don't think it's the people from the calendar.
It's not the one.
No, it was not.
No
it wasn't even the people that cleaned up after the photo shoot. It was it was not a great group. Yeah, this was not the group that we were hoping for.
They had their shirts on, Lord. What was wrong with them? They're supposed to be naked with muscle. Yeah.
Like 6 old firemen with clothes on. I was like, this is not what we expected.
No, it wasn't.
We were happy to be saved and get out of the elevator. It is Friday, but we were sad it wasn't them. We get out of the elevator. I meet this girl in the lobby. I'll never forget. Her name is Greg. She is a girl, and her name is Greg. So it's like easy to remember. So like a month later, she calls me. We were supposed to have lunch, and I thought, oh, she's calling me out, because I never called her to have lunch. She called me and said, there's this show that people are interviewing for called Queer Eye. Oh no, she didn't even know the name. She said, it's a show that's about gay men, and they need a designer. And I just thought you were so fun in the elevator that you might be great on camera. She's like, have you ever done anything in front of, have you ever done anything like that? I said, no, I haven't. And I went and interviewed with them. I ended up getting it. And that's how I found Queer Eye, because I adopted a dog.
Wow.
That's wild.
He had to go to the bathroom.
That's an amazing story.
But you got to be ready. You were ready. Like, that's the thing. Like, you were ready.
Yeah, I was ready, willing, and able, which has kind of always been my motto. I'm just like ready to go. I say cable ready, but I never really thought about it as cable ready, like cable ready.
Right.
But yes. So, and that's how I found television. And it was just, I think it fit my personality, because I tend to make very quick and decisive decisions. I am very outgoing, and I'm very inclusive, and, I'm an easy communicator. So I think that it just sort of fit for me. And I kept building my businesses as I was doing television, and everyone thought I was insane, but I would work all day on TV, and then I would go to my office and do like 3 hours a night in my office and go through all my stuff and make sure that everything was getting done, and my clients were getting their work done. And I was doing show houses, and I was doing anything and everything so that people knew I was a designer as well as a designer on TV. Because at that time, being on television as a designer was not like it is today, where people respect people who are designers that work in television. It was a time where, first of all, straight men did not even know about hair products. Let's talk about that for a second. Mm-hmm. And interior designers that were on television were people that used to be models and are on shows that when you left your house, they'd put grass on your walls in your dining room, and then the two neighbors would get an argument. You know what I mean? It was like cuckoo banana stuff like that. But it was great that existed, because it opened the door for all of this to happen. And now that straight men have hair products and know how to use them and are excited about it and buy them on their own, that's also really good. And it's just, we've come a long way. It's just like, we opened the door to the communication between gay people and straight people, and everyone feeling comfortable and mutually everyone benefiting from that relationship in a positive way. And I think it just allowed straight people to see other straight people having fun with gay people, other gay people seeing other gay people having fun with other straight people. It just crossed a barrier that, well, it just broke down that wall that had been there for many forever, and I think it opened up a dialogue, and so that was really exciting. And I have to tell you, jumping to RuPaul asking me, 6 months ago or whatever it was, to do Celebrity Drag Race and Surprise Carson, I was like, nobody has asked me to do anything that outside of the box since they asked me to do Queer Eye. And something that was outside of the box, and that was a thing that would open and continue to break down walls. The idea that I'm not a drag queen. I've never dressed up as a drag queen. I don't even think there's a photograph of me ever dressed up as a woman ever. I don't think so. I can remember. I've never done it for Halloween. I mean, I look at my face. I'm not a pretty lady. I mean, my voice, not a lady voice. But I was like, it was so much fun. And again, it was another way to continue to sort of that conversation and that dialogue today. When you see people step outside of their comfort zone and do something that they never have done or they never thought they would do, it just allows everybody to know that, like, there's the rules. We make the rules, so we can break them.
100%. Did it help your career? Hinder your career? Did it ever get too much to manage?
Television, if managed properly, can really benefit your career. Especially today is very different now than it was before. I had to make sure I was writing books that explained that I was a designer, that I went to design school, that I worked for very well-known and established design firms, that I have a design degree and that I know design, and I'm in the design world, and that I was a part of the design world. And so I think I had to make sure that I was constantly doing that, so that everybody knew that Thom Filicia was a real designer and was really doing work and was being published in House Beautiful and House and Garden and Architectural Digest and Elle Decor, in Town and Country, whatever these magazines were. But they needed to understand that, because I wanted to be taken seriously by the design community, but I also wanted people that were taking my advice and they were at home realize they were getting advice that was sound advice. You know what I mean? It's like, if that the doctor or the dentist that you're going to also teaches at Cornell or at NYU and is respected by the community of dentists or doctors or whoever, you take their advice in a different way. So, and I liked being the person who was very established as a designer, but was also very approachable as a design professional, and can communicate with people that know a lot about design, and can easily and comfortably and enjoyably communicate with people that know very little or if anything about design.
I hear you on the valid, like, just making sure that everybody knew that you weren't just some TV person that got recruited to kind of have an opinion. You actually had deep expertise.
Right.
I love that. And I think that, like, in the world of business, as business owners, we're constantly trying to keep that sustain that validation. Even after you start winning awards, I remember somebody said to me, like, you're the beginning of the end once you start winning awards.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, great. Remember them? They were great. Like that kind of thing.
That's true.
I love that. But I love that,
Well, yeah. I mean, I think winning awards and being recognized by the community, the professional community that you work within, is super important. But I also think being a real person and being able to communicate about what you do in an unpretentious, open dialogue that everyone can participate in, I think is also really important, because not everybody needs to be an expert in your space, but could be very interested in what you do. And I also think I wasn't just doing that for myself. I actually was doing it because I felt that design could be better represented on television. I just felt like there was an opportunity to create this moment where design started to get more respected and more respectable, and was being represented by people that were real designers and that really understood design. And I know that not every designer is great on television, so I think that was always one of the issues. But certainly to be a part of the program or the programming, even if someone else is representing sort of the communication and the dialogue, it's great to have somebody who's a host, but that host can work with a designer if the designer themselves is not capable of carrying the show. But my hope was to be able to be the person that could carry the show, as well as, be sort of, I was a producer on all of the shows that I worked on. I was talent and I was production. So I did both.
So I guess I'm trying, because I know a lot of people are, especially now with social media, there are a lot of business owners that are really getting a lot of, more recognition for what they're doing. And how do you know what opportunities you were going to go after? I'm sure that you were bombarded, you get on this show, you got everything going, you're an amazing designer. You're bombarded with opportunities to do different things. How did you choose? How did you know, I'm going to do this?
That was very difficult because, what it was is that I was trying to navigate and learn the world of, I really wanted to get into the product world because it was something I've always wanted to do. I took industrial design classes in college. And I designed furniture and was always doing that. Building product was closer, had more connection to being a household name than being a high-end interior designer, because everyone has the ability to buy your products. Not everybody has the ability to afford hiring you as a private designer to work for them personally. But a lot of people that are interested in design can buy a chair or a sofa or some fabric or a rug or a lamp, that you design. So it just felt like for television to really justify all the years of working in TV, and being able to connect with the people that you look as your fans that are interested in what you're doing, but maybe are not going to hire your design firm. This was a way to really sort of build that sort of connection with that consumer. And also it was another business. It was another way to create, sort of diversify my business, which something I was really interested in. I love having my high-end design firm. We do commercial and residential. It's Thom Filicia Incorporated. The Thom Filicia Home Collection, we have almost 14 licensed partners now. And we have rugs and lighting and bedding and wall coverings and upholstery and case goods and now accessories we're coming out with. We have curtain hardware. We have artwork. So we're going into all these categories. And what's exciting about it is that, I sometimes open up magazines in an advertisement for American Express. There's a piece of my artwork, or there's I go to someone's house that I'm, at a party, and I walk in and there's my console in their entrance hall. We've never met before. I've never worked for them. They just bought it, either online or through a retailer. So, it's just interesting. And I'm like, there's more than one way to connect with the consumer than what we understand as a traditional brick and mortar interior design firm. And so I thought product would be a really exciting way to sort of build another business model and diversification. So I did that. And then at the same time, I thought I was, as I was building those relationships and also the product, I started meeting with all of these different people that were distribution for the product, that had stores all over the US and outside of the US. And I thought to myself, we can't really find a store that we love for our product in New York City. We had a hard time. And, it was like, because we wanted it to be retail friendly a little bit, but to the trade. So I decided to open up a showroom. So I opened up a showroom. I created a showroom called Sedgwick and Brattle. We're in the New York design firm. And that was another way that I was like, you know what? This is another business model. rather than looking for this person, I said, why don't we just do it ourselves? Let's become our own person. So I created a showroom called Sedgwick and Brattle. It's the corner I grew up on, Sedgwick Drive and Brattle Road. And I did it so that other designers, if they brought their clients there, they could say we're going to Sedgwick and Brattle, or they could say we're going to Sedgwick and Brattle by Thom Filicia if they wanted the client to know that I was involved. So I figured it gave the designer the ability to have that anonymity. And
one of the things that I like about this is you're talking a lot about leveraging what you know, leveraging what you learn, leveraging where you are, and the conversation about whether or not to be a product-based business versus a service-based business,
right.
and what it means to have both, and doing that within your industry.
Yeah.
Right. If you said, okay, I'm an interior designer, I can do interior design, but another access point is that I have these products that you can actually buy because you want a piece of me too. Right. So like the people who want a piece of what you created,
right,
they want a piece of your eye.
Right.
Like
well, and also absolutely 100%. And I have to tell you, a lot of what the business world of design is based on, in interior design specifically, is a business model that has been in play since as far back as I know interior design goes back. I mean, it goes back to Billy Baldwin and like, you know, when he was it has, there's a real reluctance to modernizing the business model and making it applicable to the way that we shop, the way that we decorate, the way that we design, the way that we do business. It just, I was like, I did not go to business school. I just, as a designer who's shopping and designing in the space and loves what I do, I just thought, why isn't it, I just trying to sort of slowly and sort of build a more modern business model, and a business model that was a little bit more sustainable long term. I mean, I'm hoping that by diversification, it offers me a little bit of a little bit of balance. You know, I don't every day. I'm not just designing for private clients. I'm also designing product. We're working on the showroom and developing that, and now we're looking at e-commerce, and so it's just all of these things that are exciting, and they're all based on design, and they're all based on the business of design. My goal is to leave the design world in a more modern way of doing business than I found it, and to be a part of that movement so that the next generation of designers have a thriving and exciting world of design to go into. And I tell everybody, I like, look, you know, you've got to keep open. Like as we get older, I think we kind of go like this. Our shutter, or I don't know if it's aperture, I think it's shutter. Our shutter closes, and we become more specific about who we are, who we're going to be with, where we're going to eat, what table we're going to eat at, where we're going to sleep, who we're going to sleep with, whatever, you know, and then we get more specific. I think the goal as we get older is to keep that shutter open, keep talking to people, keep inviting new people in, keep being open to people, keeping open to business, keeping open to ideas, keeping open to young ideas and new ideas, and help those new ideas happen, you know, because the establishment is the one that generally has the ability to make things happen. And there's sort of, you know, there's a lot of great, exciting new things happening that's looking for sort of a helping hand. So I'm looking at it as like, I'm doing my one part to hopefully make the business world of design be a little bit more exciting, a little bit more interesting, more applicable to where we are, and also be more professional and have and be safer for designers to protect themselves against, you know, there's a lot of people out there in the world that you know sometimes like to sort of take intellectual property and, you know, run with it, you know, and so designers very often are not prepared to stand up to that. And so I think these modern business models also are a little bit, they're just safer. The contracts are better, the relationship with the client, and the expectation of both the designer to be transparent and on point, and for the client to also be transparent and on point.
And on point.
Really
I know, listen, getting the clients to be transparent and on point,
Yeah.
and the designer to be transparent and
Yeah.
on point is definitely the most
Yeah.
ideal. Well, I want to thank you. One,
Yeah.
like your contributions, as I listened to you speak, I was thinking, wow, like your contributions, like Queer Eye, and it's kind of game changing, culture shifting way of talking about relationships, right? And helping men understand men are men and
Yeah.
can be different men, or people can be different
Right.
people. We still
Right.
care about fashion, beauty, smelling good, feeling good,
Right.
living in a place that feels good when we walk in. Love
Right.
that. And then listen to you talk about your contributions to the design world in general and wanting the world of design to be different. Part of those contributions is your role at Sustainable Furnishings Council,
Yeah.
which is really focused on more
Yeah.
environmentally safe processes
Yeah.
in the design world. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
We can
you.
talk forever, I'm sure.
You guys
I
are
really,
great.
really
I
appreciate
love this.
Yeah,
It's
it was
not
so good.
fun. Your energy is great, and you ask great questions. And I think that it is a lot of times they say it's the starving artist. Well, it's only the starving artist because they teach you everything you need to know about being creative, but not being a creative professional. And I think that's really great that you guys are bringing to light sort of the business side of design and the business side of the sort of creative business platform that people should think about, because it's what supports your creativity.
Yeah.
100%. Thank you so much for joining
And
us,
it's also
Thom.
drunk.
It is what is the thing that gets you drunk.
Not cheap.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for tuning in. You listen to the Omi Show. I am Omi Bell here with my co-host
Takia Ross.
Every Sunday, we'll be right here at noon on Sirius XM Urban View Channel 126, where talk empowers and becomes action. Thank you.